What's the funniest thing you have heard that you weren't allowed to laugh at? Cannot vouch for it, but a teacher friend told me this story. He is standing at the front of the room reading from a book to a class full of 4th graders when he realized his fly was down. To distract the kids while he rezipped, he suddenly looked out the window with a shocked expression, pointed and yelled, "What's that out there?" The kids all turned and looked out the window. So he turned around, zipped up his fly, then turned around again to see the kids were all still staring out the window. On the playground outside were 2 dogs ducking. A friend lost his ex due to an explosion in her home. I was at the funeral. I was talking to my friend's parents about all the good things that she had done in her life. While I know what his mom meant that there was still evidence of her good deeds all around us, but what she said was, yes, there are still bits and pieces of her still floating around out there. I worked for a doomed tech company in the late 90s. At one rah-rah pep rally kind of meeting, they had one of the marketing drones telling us about all the great new deals the company had done, including one with Cox Cable. She said, and I quote, "We have not been able to do much in this market, but now that we have Cox, we expect much better penetration." In college, Cox Cable was the only company servicing our area. You had to have an email address to sign up, so being the idiots we elected to go with Cox.net. It was always a bit awkward calling with bill inquiries or to discuss service changes. Yeah. I worked at a media buying subsidiary of Cox Communications in New York City. A very high up woman was named Tracy Watts, and when she would send out company-wide emails it would show up in out inbox as new message from Twatscox.com. We all used to get a hush chuckle out of this little company inside joke. At work I got a call from a very irate customer with a trapped ring. He was yelling and cursing, except it was all in a monotone voice. "This is ridiculous. I'm very angry." It was the most emotionless tantrum I have ever witnessed, and I had to put him on hold several times to keep from laughing. I'm going to hell for that one. I used to apologize to people over the phone for a big retail company here in the US. One day on the phone I said, "I'm sorry Ms. Jackson," and the guy next to me, who was not on a call, said "Oop, I'm for real" under his breath, but just loud enough for me to hear it. I eventually had to put her on hold so I could laugh. I was at a meeting with an American and a German colleague. While discussing several proposals, the American liked one proposal in particular and unwittingly declared, "This is the final solution." It was all I could do. I'm an Austrian, the Austrian language is German, and was about 15 when I came to the US as an exchange student. I had lost my cell phone at the airport and was in desperate need of a new one. So I went to a store. I came up to one of the shop assistants. I was in a hurry to catch a bus and asked, "I'm looking for a cheap handy. Can you help me?" At the time I had no idea I was not actually asking her for a cell phone. The German word for it is the pseudo-English handy from handset, I guess. But for a manual stimulation of my penis, it was rather awkward. Backstory: back in my young drunken days I stupidly kicked the door of a bus, breaking the window because the bus driver would not let me ride without paying. Since I was blackout drunk at the moment, I did not remember anything of the whole event when questioned by the police, and therefore would not confess. So the case went to court. 6 months later, in court, I still had no idea what had happened that night. When the bus driver was questioned, he stated that I had shown him my Club Nintendo member card from 1993 and claimed that it granted me free bus rides. At this point I should not have laughed, but I did, loudly. Needless to say, I lost the case. TL Doctor, I'm self-absorbed and only laugh at my own jokes. When working at Walmart one time, an Asian man with a thick accent came up to me and asked if I had big balls. Asked me to show him my big balls. Started making jerk-off motions with his hand and demanding loudly, "Where are your big balls? You know, mixy balls." It was at this point of blushing and nervousness that I realized that this Asian man did not want to molest me, but simply wanted a very large bowl for mixing up a cake. I was looking at health supplements and I asked the Asian dude behind the counter what one of the products did try best I think, and the guy says prevent BST. BST. Yes. BST. I do not understand. He put his hands on under his nipples and said BESTE. Ooh. Bitch tits. I was summoned to the university principal's office for a disciplinary hearing as I'd generally been a bit of a dick for a few months. Unbeknownst to me, the only bit of evidence that she has of my misdemeanors was an incident in which I had no involvement and no prior knowledge. Thus, imagine my confusion when she presented me with a photograph of thousands of bits of pasta shaped like a giant cock in one of the college's locked rooms. Before asking what do you think of that then, I wet myself laughing and got the blame. When I was a teenager I was tricked into attending a Heaven's Gates Hell's Flames play at a local church. During the play one of the women playing an angel passed the duck out and fell down like a sack of potatoes. Immediately afterward two of Satan's minions ran out and dragged her away. My wife's grandfather's funeral. Person speaking was just hitting his stride. Father, I pray you will show these people your light. I pray you will save this man's soul. I pray you will. 2 rows back my wife's inebriated aunt exclaims I pray you would shut the duck up. Wife had to pretend she was crying out of sorrow. When I was taking questions from my sex ed class, one of the kids asked, what happens after you masturbate? Honest question for an 11-year-old. But before I could answer one of the other kids screams out you clean up. Oh man, I have a one that almost killed me. Several years ago I was round my wife's grandparents for Christmas dinner along with her aunt and uncle, a couple of cousins and their pet Labrador, Enzo. At the time I did only just started seeing my wife and this was the first time I did met any of this side of her family. So I was on my absolute best behavior. It was all going swimmingly until halfway through dinner when Enzo, being the excitable dog he was, started jumping up at my wife's nan, trying to bite her watch. It wasn't a particularly expensive watch or anything, but it did have a black leather strap which is kind of important considering the next words out of that frail little old lady's mouth were oh Enzo, you always get so excited when I have got my black leather strap on. Nobody else in the room so much as blinked. I have never had my head be quite so close to exploding. When I was in Marine Corps boot camp there was a guy named Private Moroder. He was not a bright fellow and spoke with a slow, plodding way. The drill instructor was giving him shit. It was his turn and the conversation went as follows. Moroder, you got a girlfriend? Boy, sir. Yes, sir. Your girlfriend a swallower or a spitter? Moroder, sir. This private does not know. His girlfriend does not chew tobacco. That he put his head down, so his cover covered his face, but you could tell he was laughing. Of course. We were unable to. I was at a professional seminar with one of the biggest accounting firms in the city. They had a gimmick where, based on your characteristics you were one of 4 animals: lion, golden retriever, otter, or beaver. This middle-aged woman at my table proudly exclaimed I got a little lion, but a lot of beaver. Needless to say, I have not been associated with that firm since. I was a medical student on my OBGYN rotation and was assigned to catch this lady's baby. The woman had been laboring and pushing for hours and hours. Now, a little pooping is totally to be expected, anticipated, and even cherished during labor, but with this woman it was insane. It was as if she had not defecated for the 5 days prior and had decided to take a massive quantity of stool bulking agents in anticipation of this labor. She poops and poops and poops and it is alright, you know. We re-cleaning it up, God bless midwives, and helping her move along. Her contractions are getting more and more frequent and the baby's head is getting lower, so she switches to all fours position like crawling, because this is the natural way that she wants to do it. Fine. This part of labor is quite quick and pretty soon the baby's head has popped out. The shoulders are the widest part to be delivered, and oftentimes the head pops out with the first wave of contractions. Then there is a pause and the next wave is needed to deliver the shoulders and the rest of the baby. So she is on all fours with the baby's head stuck out and looking to the right and it is all quiet for the moment, and then she feels the first grumblings of a contraction and starts her push, and plop, a bit of shit lands on the baby's right cheek. I wanted to die and laugh and die laughing, but I could not, because these things are people, and I had to catch her. The midwife flicks the poop away, and the rest of the baby falls out and everything is perfect. I had to clean up everything, and only after I left the room was I finally able to laugh and laugh and laugh, followed by telling everyone I know only to laugh again. TL doctor saw a mom poop out, and then on her baby. My wife was doing her OBGYN rotation. Her baby got twisted around somehow, and was coming out butt first. For those who do not know, baby poop is called meconium. If a baby is in distress during birth, it will often poop out a lot of meconium. Well, this baby was coming out butt first. It was in a lot of distress, and so this baby but starts spraying projectile poop everywhere. My wife described it as shooting around like cheese whiz. It got all over everyone. Faces, mouths, hands, eyes, everywhere. Of course, the doctors all had to maintain professional demeanors. Just imagine her, but emerging from a vagina and spraying poop everywhere. I was at an interview for an orthopedic surgery position. One of the subspecialties in orthopedics is hand surgery, generally referred to simply as hand. I asked him what the job market for hand is in his city. He replies, "The number of patients is ever increasing. I'm pretty sure there are plenty of hand jobs in this city to go around." It was so hard to keep a straight face. I had a similar incident when my grandmother was looking for a computer. I asked her what type of computer she was interested in buying. She replied, "I just want one of those hand jobs." After further questioning, she was talking about netbooks.